I want to talk about today why you're not getting clients. For those of you watching on Substack or Instagram or Facebook, this is going to be a long one because I have the theory that if you know why you're not getting clients, it actually exposes what you need to do to get clients. So often understanding the problem will actually give you the solution. So that's what we're going to do in today's session. Just making sure all the cameras are working because I got a million cameras on me right now, which is pretty freaky and scary, but we're going to get on with it. So look, it is a tough old world right now in terms of a client acquisition. It is not easy. If you rewind like 10 years ago, it was way easier than it is today. We're in a situation where there's a lot of saturation, there's a lot of sameness, there's a lot of competition, and not just competition from competitors. People have lousy attention spans. People are distracted. There's the noise everywhere. And our success as in business is actually being able to cut through that noise with signal. So what I want to do is, given that I've been doing this for a decade or more than that, 20 years, I see some common things that happen all the time. I'm going to walk through them. For those of you who are on socials where there's a landscape, I'll share my screen. For those of you who are on portrait, you'll just put up with me. But I'm going to walk through, because if you see one of these things I'm going to point out, actually, that's the answer. That's the fix. And when you're in that situation where you're really struggling and you think, you're not getting the clients, you're doing all the things that people say, and it's just not working, you end up in this position where you start to either question yourself, you think there's a missing piece of the puzzle, and you can hit really, it can get you down. It can make you into a position where you're like, what is the point of doing this? Why should I keep doing this? Because there is a little tiny piece missing. But the problem with social media, I love social media for all of its connectedness and all that kind of stuff. But one of the problems is, as you scroll, you start to see people with their life together. You see people having success after success after success. And then you compare that to your struggle and you go, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working? And it's like a death spiral. Hits your confidence, hits your motivation, all of that stuff kicks in. And we know that the majority of what we see on social media is curated. It's not real, most of it. Yeah. So we end up either comparing ourselves to this fiction and then end up going, why am I not good enough? So for those of you who are watching on portrait, I'm going to share my screen. For those of you who are just watching live, I'm going to walk through and explain it. So I'm going to share my slide. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, I'll share my screen. But if you're not, then I'll walk you through it and explain it and be as graphic as I possibly can so that you find this easy to grab hold of. So, screen's coming through now. Here we go. So, let's just talk about, why does it not work? Why does the client acquisition, why is it so difficult? And if you're, nailing it, if you're getting predictable leads, predictable clients, and you're all good, this is not for you. This is for the people where it feels like, why is this so freaking hard? Because I've been there. So let's just deal with the beginning, right? 99% of the time, your problem acquiring clients has nothing to do with the effort, nothing to do with the work you're doing. In fact, I'd argue you're probably working too hard, because that's the human default thing. If something's not working, work harder. It rarely is about working harder. So, but if you're vague, if you're unclear in what you're doing and how it connects, activity to revenue, that ambiguity, that lack of clarity will follow you all the way around platforms, activities, actions, the works. If you don't know what you're trying to achieve, you'll struggle to achieve it. If you haven't written an actual strategy, and I'll just say this, right? I know of so many people who are posting on social media, on Instagram, LinkedIn, the works, posting. They're growing their network. They're doing all of this stuff, but they have no plan or process to move people from brand new person to lead. They're just doing it. They're just doing it. And what they're hoping is somehow it will all click together, it'll all come together, and they get a result. That's not that you're a bad person. That's not that you're a terrible business owner, by the way. That's just what instinct is. If I just put stuff out, it'll all come together. And it doesn't. It honestly doesn't. And so that whole lack of clarity, lack of precision, basically follows you through everything you do, through writing content, through posting, through profile optimization, through outreach. It follows you. That lack of clarity follows you. So very rarely is it a tactic thing. And I'll prove it to you because some of you have actually started several different tactics, several different strategies from lots of other people on the platforms. And you've tried them all and they've not worked. And if you're a creator listening to me right now, and feel free, or you help people get clients and you're kind of like checking in on me to see what I'm up to, you know this is true too. That a lot of the times people buy your stuff and actually what happens is they don't actually fix the core issue and they're it's like trying to put a plaster on a big wound. It will not fix it. You need to do something more meaningful. So most of the time, your problem getting clients is upstream from doing the work. It's not at the coalface. Very often it's not the coalface work that's wrong. It's something further up that's actually infecting, contaminating, and poisoning the well. Yeah, that's how you need to think. What is poisoning my well? Don't think I need new tactics, right? Don't think that. Think what's poisoning the well. So if you're watching on landscape, you're going to see this. There's 4 areas where it goes wrong. 4. And when I'm working with clients, I tell them they have to focus on these 4 areas before we go into any form of action, because the actions will fail if you don't nail these 4 areas. Number 1 is a clear and compelling offer. Now, I know you've done loads of offer worksheets, probably a gazillion times before, but let me just be very, very clear. Social media, online world is saturated now. Attention spans are worse than ever. And now we have to show value in our offer much faster, much quicker than we've ever done. So we're trying to land value in seconds. We're trying to pique interest in seconds. And so our offer has to be clear. That means we have to have a really clear benefit. Not lots of benefits, not because I can serve 3 different audiences, I'll have 3 different offers. We have to get one. If you're not selling anything well or anything consistently, forget trying to sell multiple things. Forget trying to sell to multiple audiences. It's one offer. And let me just define this for you. Very often people have come out of employment, started a business, and they're basically doing what they did in a job as a business. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Selling your expertise, your know-how, your experience, all good. But when you did it as a job, very often the clients came to you because there was a marketing machine behind. And so you never had to articulate your value in a cold space to people who don't know you. Yeah. To people who are just getting to know you. So what happens is you come at trying to sell what you do from a position of, I've only sold to warm leads, or I've only had warm customers before. Cold is very different. Now, I'm not talking about pitching people. I'm talking about how do you make people see the value when your method, your approach, they've never seen before, they don't know you before. And there's a really good, important thing to think about it. What's the one problem that they need solving right now? One simply, clearly defined problem. Fix it. That's all you're going to do. Fix it. And there's a way to test the problem. Is the problem ripe? R-I-P-E. Is it a recognizable problem? In other words, does your customer, does your ideal client see that they have that problem? If they can't see that they've got that problem, you are going to have to do a ton of education to expose that problem. Very often when people go, they don't recognize they have that problem, what you're doing is in effect basically grouping problems together. You need to think about what's the problem they see in front of them right now. What's the problem they see in front of them right now? Ripe, recognized. Then the next one. Is it something that's instantly happening right now, or is it something that's coming? You want something that's happening to people right now. So you need to think about what is the problem that's happening right now. Not just can they see it? Is it common? Actually, is it happening to them right now? Don't think about a future problem. Think about a problem right now. P, yeah. Is it really painful? Yeah. And you go, oh, of course, obviously it's painful. No. There's a lot of times businesses will actually live with a pain. They're quite happy to live with the pain. So you have to think about, is this problem painful enough that people cannot continue with it, right? In other words, is it hurting right now? And then the final one, E of the ripe, is it escalating? Is it going to get worse? Do they realize it'll just keep getting worse if they don't fix it? Now, why does that matter? Because if you're trying to sell features like coaching, nobody cares. But if you're selling a solution to a specific problem and they have it, they will pay attention because it's relevant to them. So you're trying to get into their world and understand that problem. 9 times out of 10, people struggle to get clients because they think I can help people do this. They've never articulated and put together and worked out what is the actual underlying problem I'm fixing. I've got a worksheet that I give to people. Message me on whatever channel if you want it. And the first question on it is, what's the problem you solve? And when people send it to me back and say, Dean, what do you think of this? 9 times out of 10, I look at it and go, why have you told me what you do in what's the problem you solve? They tell me what you do because we are wired to say, this is what I do. And actually, the fundamental thing to creating an offer that will actually sell itself is having a clearly defined problem. So that's number 1. That's the big one. No clear offer, right? That's the big one. Number 2 is a high value, high intent audience. So given that we know the problem, we know it's a ripe problem, we should be looking for the audience who's most likely to have the ripe problem. If you talk to people too early, You will have to do the nurturing and education. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why you build an email list. But if you need clients right now, you have to start thinking about their situation right now, the people who are closer to, we cannot live without this. We have to take action on this. So that high value audience that is further down, and you have to talk to them. We'll come to that messaging in a moment. But there's two parts to this. That high value audience, they have to have the money to pay. There's no point them being an audience of people who've got no money, because you've still got no clients. You'd be surprised how people don't think about this and go, hang on, I can help people overcome the mindset. What's the problem? Pick a problem that actually people have the ability to pay. So if you help people overcome, imposter syndrome, pick rich people who've got imposter syndrome. Pick people in a particular industry that you know have, one, a propensity to have imposter syndrome, but also that they have money, right? Think about this, right? It doesn't mean niche down, I help lawyers do this, but at least talk to the scenarios they'll face. So you don't end up with a load of people who maybe are out of work. It sounds brutal, this, but they're out of work, and they're out of work because they've got no confidence. You might want to help them because, most people in business start a business because they want to make a difference. But if you want to get clients, you'll get resentful pretty quick if you end up with basically people coming to you for help but have no money. So high value audience, right? Pick them, and then we're getting closer. We've got an offer. We've got how we're tailoring that now to that group of people. What does that look like and smell like for that group of people? One more thing. Make sure you can find the audience. I know this sounds ridiculous, but you'd be surprised how many people will pick off an audience they can't find. And I'm gonna be biased to one social media platform here for a moment, just because it's easy. Well, two, and they're probably not the most hip and trendy of social media platforms, but they're actually the easiest. Number one is Facebook, because it's much easier to find people on Facebook than, say, Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok are primarily attractional channels, so they're a little bit harder because you have to 100% rely on content most of the time. That's number one. So, but LinkedIn and Facebook, it's much easier to find people in volume. So I'm not saying the other channels are bad, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, because of the tools and filters in Facebook and LinkedIn, you can find them quicker. So high value audience, make sure you can find them. Otherwise, you're increasing the work and making it harder. Next, the magnetic message. Now you've got to align your offer, your audience, and all of your presence. So you've got to align your offer, your audience, and your presence. So that's your profile, your content, how you present your offer, landing pages, everything has to dial into that. So we're not going to make content for everybody. We're not going to make our profile for everybody. It's going to be for that audience, about that problem, and everything's going to be dialed in. Everything. Now, will you be going, oh, wow, look at the volume of views on my reels? Will I get all the success on my LinkedIn post? No. But what you're doing is optimizing for conversion rather than attention. When you're optimizing for attention, you're going broad, you're going more higher top of funnel, you're doing all of that stuff to kind of draw people in. And the theory is more followers, more engagement, more leads. What we're doing is doing the opposite of going optimize for conversion. In other words, playing a relevance game rather than a reach game. So you can, let's get 1 million followers. And if I've got 1 million followers, I'm obviously going to get some leads. My version is, let's go, how can I get a small audience, 1,000 people or less, and convert from them because they're all the right people or majoritatively the right people. Whereas 1 million followers, you might have 10%, 20% of the people who are actually the right people. So it's a bit easier to get success when you're going for relevance over reach. Big investment of time to do that. Now, why am I saying this? Because very often people have never made their mind up on this stuff. And so they don't make their mind up on their audience. They don't make their mind up on their offer. They don't get clarity there. That infects their message, their profile, their content, their presence, everything they're doing. And so you end up then in a situation whereby your message is muddled and you're projecting confusion rather than clarity. People don't go, "You're for me," because they can't see it. So that's why the magnetic message becomes very, very important. So that's the third part. And hopefully you guys are getting something from this. You're starting to see maybe this is where I'm going wrong. Maybe this is the bit I've been missing. Not tactics, not tools, not tricks. It's actually coming down to my thinking, my lack of clarity here is coming out through into my presence, into my activity, into the work I'm doing and messing it up. So that's the three: the offer, the high value audience, the magnetic message. Now, the fourth one is the systems. Now, social media, let's just be honest for a moment. Social media is not geared to making it easy for us to follow a system. It's full of stuff that basically sucks us down rabbit holes, dopamine addiction, all of that stuff, right? I am so guilty of just sat on my phone refreshing stats, getting dopamine hits. Or when a post, even though it's not a relevant post, I put something up randomly and I'm sat there refreshing it, right? Or I'm scrolling and something baits my interest and I end up engaging on it. It's not relevant. It is very, very easy to waste time online, and the whole space of online is now short attention spans, hook people in and go down rabbit holes. If you want to be successful, you have to implement systems, simple systems that work with your schedule, not impossible systems. Otherwise, you're going to fail. So I'll walk you through some systems, but just before I do, I want to share, for those of you on the landscape, you'll see this. There's kind of three parts to a system that works. Number one is your time management. And I'm going to have a little rant and a bit of a gripe here because it's important. If you look at what most people are doing on social media, they are following influencers who are full-time and have a team running their stuff, trying, ordinary people who don't have all of that are trying to do an influencer's business model without an influencer's time and commitment. Just not going to work. So if you don't have, and the average is, I'll just give you the stats. So if you want to be full-time content creator on any social media and you want to make it a proper revenue channel, it will take you 17 months to achieve revenue positive, replace your income. And you'll have to spend at least 10 hours a week creating content. Now, I'm not here to say that's good or bad, right? It's just the nature of the beast. I am not doing, some might think I am, but I'm not doing that path to that level because I'm constantly aware of how much platforms pull the rug, change things and mess things up, and you just feel like you're getting on top of it and then suddenly it's all changed again. So content is probably the most time-consuming way to get clients on social media, full stop, where your content does all of the work, everything. Content does all the work. That is the hardest. And any creator that's watching this will agree. So that's the first thing. Yeah. Time management. How much time do you have? Honestly, not when you're feeling excited, how much time do you have? And then basically we're going to play to that time. What's the system that gives you that time. So if it's 20 minutes a day, it's 20 minutes a day. If it's an hour a day, it's an hour a day. That's where you need to be. How much time do you have? Honest question. That's number one. Number two, you need a process, but importantly, you need to know what your preference is about process. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to get clients online. But if you try and do something that you don't feel comfortable with, even if you know it will make you money, it will be a constant struggle for you. So let's say, for an example, you want clients fast. The fastest way to get clients online is 100% outreach. If you don't want to do outreach, you feel icky doing outreach, guess what? When it comes to the crunch, you will not do the outreach. It's just how it works, right? You will not do the work. I can see people are joining now. There's things catching up. I can see what I'm doing now. You're not going to do it. It's just how it rolls. So you're not going to do the work. So you have to understand what your preferences are. And if it's not outreach and it's not 10 hours a week with content, you need something in the middle. You need a way in the middle. So what does that look like? Well, let's have a look. So first off, you've got content, all in on content, 10 hours, toughest gig in town. Number two, you've got social engagement, building relationships on the platform that you're choosing in a formatted way, a structure, not automated, but a structure to build relationships and get conversations. It's quite low key. It's a bit more manual, but anybody can do it. And it's very relationship based. So engaging with people, striking up conversations, getting calls booked. That's one way. That's probably the more manageable. It's a soft selling approach. 3, newsletters. Massive. And these are growing. The amount of creators that are running to Substack because they're realizing their content engagement is going down and they're trying to get a new space, own a new space, but also build a list. That's why Substack's growing so fast. So newsletters and email lists are still the best way, the most predictable way to get clients, even in 2025 with AI, automation, and all this stuff. Email still wins. So you use your socials to feed and grow your list, and then you sell through value in the list. And there's a specific structure. I teach people how to do that so that you're not just growing a list, you're actually making money from the list. A lot of people can teach you how to grow a list. A lot of people can teach you how to grow subscribers. A lot of people can teach you how to get followers. But is it dropping into money? That's the big thing. So a system to do that. Turn your social media followers and social media activity into an email list, and then make that email list bring you money. So there's another one. Number 4, not for everybody, but it's the fastest, most effective on social media, is hyper-targeted outreach. So this is where you actually do research. You don't kind of, pitch people, but you're doing research so that the prospect knows there's no way this is automated. You've done the work here. It's the most effective way to get meetings with prospects. But again, it's a process. You don't just dive in. So that's number 4. I'll recap on these in a second. Number 5 is stuff like this. Lives, events, webinars. These are the most effective for dealing with a larger audience. And if you do it right, you get people who are dealing with specific problems coming. It's not about volume. It's not about 1,200 people signing up. It's about getting the right people showing up who you resonate with and giving them an opportunity to take the next step. So when I do these, I will give all of as much advice as I possibly can, because I know the solution that people need is not just another course. They need accountability. They need support. They need training, of course, but they need that reinforcement to keep taking action, to keep motivating. So I offer more than a course. I actually help them navigate this. So the information is cheap. It's free. It's on the internet anyway. I might as well share it. And I've done these for 5 years. I'm doing them more on other channels now as well, but on LinkedIn, and I get between 500-600 people signing up or showing up to these, and I just follow those people up in a low-key way. It's not pushy. It's not like countdown clocks or anything like that. I'm not into that stuff. That's all I do, over and over and over and over again, system after system after system. So you need these systems, and they need to be tied in to your daily activity, so you know what you're doing each day. And then the hard part comes, you've got to wean yourself off the dopamine. You've got to basically start training yourself to get your dopamine hit from leads and clients and social media. And you won't like this, but it's true. Social media wants you to get your dopamine hits from impressions, likes, comments, and followers. That's how they make money. So this is a transformation of a person here that we've been trained over the last 15 years, me too, to love the dopamine hits of likes, comments, impressions, and followers, because it's approval, and who doesn't want approval? But to be successful, we have to shift that away to fundamentally onto outcomes, results that move our business forward. So preferences and process becomes important. Daily actions. I know what I'm doing. If I've got 20 minutes a day, I know what I need to do in that 20 minutes. And I know who I need to do it to, which sounds a bit weird. And then that leads me to the final point. Yeah. A progress tracker. Some way that you can track progress, so you know you're actually moving towards an end result. Very often people will go, I'm going to do a load of stuff. And that's the wrong way to think about it. If you think about it as I've got to do a lot of stuff, actions, you track and progress the wrong things. So I co-founded a business last year that has a people tracker or a people progressing system. So it's not a CRM. It is called a CRM, but it's not a CRM in the conventional sense. It's a people progressor. You program in your workflow what you're going to do to people on social media. Do to people, sounds a bit ominous. To the journey you're going to take them on, right? You're going to put that on. Then what you do is you put those people into a people tracker, a process, and then you go in, and your job is not to just do a load of actions. Your job is to move people through those actions. And then that way you get the best quality results. And then when you're getting success doing that, you can scale it. Too often, terrible mistake is people automate without knowing whether it works. The same as people creating ads and spending a whole load of money on ads without testing it organically. The real way to make things work is to do a manual process, know it works before you inject any form of automation. Because then you're automating success, not automating bluntly shit, which is what a lot of people are doing. Look at your inboxes. Look at it. It's people automating shit and hoping something will work. Desperation, basically. So let me just recap on those points here. So if there's any questions, I'll go through questions here, but let's just recap on these points. And I'll just fly back. Number one, yeah, I call it the OHMS framework. When a client works with me, it's the OHMS framework. Let's build a complete, clear and compelling offer. So if you're not getting clients, number one, go and look at what problem am I solving? Is it clear? Do I understand it well enough? Have I communicated it well enough? Am I speaking to the person and my audience in the space where they're at right now? Or am I talking to them about something they've not experienced yet or something that's not painful enough, all of those things. High value audience. Are you targeting people who can actually pay you? Are you targeting people who you can find? Are you targeting people who are at the closer end to the end of the buying journey? Magnetic message. Are you aligning your offer and your audience with your presence? So your presence, your content, your messaging, everything you're doing is consistent. Then, do you have a system, or are you making it up as you go along? Yeah, if you're making it up as you go along, God help you. Right? If you're posting and hoping, God help you. Influencers don't even do that, by the way. I'm not an advocate of become an influencer and your life will change, because most of them are broke because they're making it up as they go along. And they're projecting success that they haven't got in many cases. System. What's the process you're going to do? What's your daily actions? And how are you tracking people through that journey so that you're not missing people, missing opportunities, but also you're following a rhythm. That's how you get predictable results. You don't get predictable results by trying to go viral. You don't get predictable results by banking on an algorithm, right? You have to have a system, whether that is content, going all in on content, serious commitment, but can be, quite rewarding. Is it going all in on social engagement and building relationships on platforms? Is it building an email list and using socials to grow that email list? High intent email list, not just thousands of people who won't buy anything. Are you building out hyper targeted outreach where it's really well researched, really focused? Or are you going after events and webinars and educating and converting that into conversations? They're the 5 paths that kind of work on social media. There are no others. All of them kind of play into one of those camps. So you need to be in a camp. Now you can do a little bit, from my point of view, I do these, I do outreach, and I do content. But most of my focus is in one of those camps. The other 2 are secondary. So for me, if I did not post on social media again, I would still get clients because I've built my email list as the primary thing. I have a system to grow my email list without posting. So if I stopped posting tomorrow, the algorithm meant that everybody got 100 views. I would still be getting clients, right? That's the way I think. That's the way I get my clients to think about systems that sell, not relying on other people or platforms to make it easy for you to sell. That's how you get clients. And every area I've spoken to there, if you look at your area, you will see where it's not working, where it's going wrong, where something's a glitch. If you don't have those 4 parts of the OHMS framework in place in your business, something is going to let you down. Something somewhere in that system is going to break, or it's not working and it contaminates everything else. Bad offer, right audience, wrong message, you're done. No system, you're done. Wrong audience, you're done. Confusing message, you're done. You see how this works, right? Offer, high value audience, message, system. 4 areas where your points of failure are. You fix those 4, things work. And remember, I'm going to wrap up in a second, so feel free to ask me questions, message me in the chat if you want to. Remember this. If you don't have an honest conversation with yourself about how much time you are prepared to invest, you will start doing stuff that you won't be able to sustain. Happens every day on social media. You start something you can't sustain. It's better to do something in 20 minutes a day that gets you results that you know you can do in 20 minutes a day than get really optimistic and go, I'm going to try and do 10 hours a week and go content, and then fail miserably because it was all based on emotion and hype. You're excited about it. You want to go viral. I want to go viral. You get excited about that part and then basically fail because realistically you can't do it. You can't give the time. So offer high value audience, magnetic message and system. Then when we get into the system, how much time have you got? What's your preference and process? And how do you progress people? They're the areas. If you look at those areas, a simple thing, by the way. Yeah, let's be honest. Do you diarize your time on social media? Do you diarize it? Do you plan it? Do you know why you went onto Instagram today? Do you know why you went on LinkedIn today? Or did you just go on? Yeah, that's a simple thing. Simple thing, right? Do you know what your plan is for your content? Do you know what newsletter topics you have to cover to get people to convert? Yeah. Do you know which process and preferences you prefer? Think about those things. They're not big things, but these little things all compound to create the reason why you're not getting clients. Now, look, I realize some of you have watched this on Substack or Instagram or Twitter or wherever, X. If you want to get my slides that I've shared, feel free to drop me a DM. If you're thinking, do you know what, Dean, you've just hit a nerve here. This is exactly where I am, and I know I've got pieces missing of this. We will help you, and I help you through my accelerator, put these things in place and give you the framework to discipline yourself to get those results. So if this has been helpful, let me know, because I always appreciate good feedback. If you have a question, again, drop me a message. And if you want the slides from this, drop me a message. And fundamentally, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to help you. Free content helps people. But if you want to take that next step, my accelerator will help you put all this in place and stop the guessing, stop the confusion, get clarity, and get a system in place to bring you business. So you can DM me if you want to take that next step or you want to know about that next step. Drop me a DM and I will come back to you. This has been wonderful. Instagram, thank you. Substack, thank you. Facebook, thank you. LinkedIn, it's been great. Thank you for joining me. If you want more stuff like this, you can also check out my newsletter. And I will see you all really, really soon. And thanks for joining.